name's John Ridley, and I'm late 50s, so getting on a bit, and fifth generation farmer, and here with Bircher, and we live, my wife and I, on home block here, 60 kilometres southwest of Forbes, on the edge of Lake Cowell. So we've got flat, open grazing country and a bit of farming. Well, our family's been farming here since the 1880s. Yeah, so just an evolution. So we've had this for 35 years and been living here for 25 years. Yeah. I suppose I was bred to be a money-making farmer, and agriculture hasn't really been a big money spinner, and so I was focused on the wrong things, and so I got very down about the overdraft, ballooning, and trying to educate 4 kids, and but we had our kids at good church schools in Sydney, and getting assistance from those schools, bursaries and part bursaries and things, so we were very fortunate anyway. So on balance, I mean, I don't know what I was worried about, but I was... And then I started working hard. I thought, well, the only way to beat the overdraft problem is to work harder, and so go out less and spend more time on the farm working and all that sort of thing. And so that's what I did, but of course all that did was make me worse. And then I focused more, and I was doing more in the office and less in the paddock, and the paddock stuff is what I enjoy. So I reached a very low ebb. I knew that I could be happy, it was just a matter of refinding it. But I didn't know how to do that. But so eventually I got to such a low ebb after 12 months. I said to Jen, my wife, who's an occupational therapist, and she's been very supportive all the way through, and guiding me and helping me and supporting me through the illness. I said, look, I've just got to go and see the specialist, and I can't get off the couch. I'm buggered. Because you think you're the only one in the world with a mental health problem, and then you go to these things and there's people everywhere. There's a whole industry built with mental health. So you aren't alone, and you aren't a little island in an ocean suffering on your own. You are with other people, and there is a way forward. There's a way for complete recovery, and that's what they keep telling you, and it's right. But you got to believe them. But when you are recovering, you don't feel like it. The hardest thing they talk about is the acceptance of having a mental illness. And I just remember borrowing a radio to listen to the news, and on the radio it had a bit of tape, and on the masking tape was written "mental health unit," and having that was sitting next to my bed, and so it's very confronting. Yeah, I've re-evaluated the things that are important in my life and the things that are important in farming, and the reality is that farming for me isn't about making stacks of money. I suppose if you want to have stacks and stacks of money, then possibly retrain as a financial planner or a fund manager and go and work at Macquarie Bank and get as rich as rich as rich. So it's a matter of refocusing away from that money thing and coming back to the things that are important, and they're being part of a community, family, and the things that you love about farming is getting lambs on the ground, new lambs, and growing beautiful wool that goes away to be processed and made into nice, beautiful Italian suits, and growing healthy beef, trying to, produce food that's very healthy, and so there's so that's and having a nice living away from the city, so you're not hearing all that sort of noise, I'm a lot better for it, without a doubt, yeah. And I'm able to pass on the lessons I've learned in the last 5 years to anyone who wants to listen, and also family and friends. So, and able to watch out for people and say, well, look, if you're not doing well, you should do this or do that. So, when you live in a rural area, then the cycle of life is there in front of you every day. Sheep giving birth, cows having crops growing, grass is shooting. So here we've had 3 inches of rain last week, and suddenly the seasons burst to life. We're in another, so it comes from the soil and everything grows up, and that cycle of being in the part of that biological system is what we are too. We're in that system as well, and we're also part of something bigger. And the non-spiritual people will say, "Oh well, no, we're just a person walking around here, and we live and die, and that's it." But I think we're part of something bigger, and I'm not sure what that is really, but certainly my role in that big picture is bumbling around here on the farm and producing a bit of nice wool. And we were born from the soil, and we're part of something bigger, and so there's something deeper going on. But I don't profess to know what all that is really, because we're battling just to do the basics properly. When things have become difficult on the farm, as they have since then and will do in the future, is to not focus on the material losses that might be happening at the time, but to be focusing on the things that are important, which is our family and friends, and to realise that it is a cycle, and we are going to go into bad times, and the bad times will finish, and it will rain, or the flood will abate, and things will come back to normal. And so if you can right the ship and get sailing along in the good times, and maybe and be a little bit more forward thinking, so well, let's put a bit more hay away next time, and let's put a bit more grain away, and let's not worry about buying a new car when things are good, because we don't really need a new car, and it's not that important. We can bumble along with the old one and just be a bit more, and don't stick your neck out too much. Don't try and be too, don't go and borrow heaps of money to try and buy the next farm to be the biggest farmer in the district. That's not what's important at all. It's much more important to have a small farm that's manageable, so that you can concentrate on the things that are important, which is family and friends and life and spirituality. The white Australians who moved early learnt from the Indigenous population who understood these lessons. They'd learned these lessons, and they lived in the environment and realised that they were part of something bigger, and it wasn't for them to rape and pillage the country and denude it, but to live in the environment and to swim with the current almost. And so I think our settlers learnt from the Indigenous peoples, and I still think we've got a lot to learn. We've still got a lot to learn from the Indigenous people. They taught us during this clinic that I was at in the hospital, all these little things that you have to learn to do and redo, and laughing and doing fun things, and teasing each other and joking around is very, very important. And you can get yourself sidetracked and think, no, I'm going to keep focused, no, I'm going to keep working hard, and if as soon as I deviate, well, that's retracting from the things that about making money. But that's, you've got to stop and laugh, and you've got to laugh at yourself, and anyone who can't see the funny side, well, they've got a few issues themselves. They need to lighten up. So you can't take the money with you, and unfortunately you can't take the debt with you either.